In this video I'm gonna introduce a Blitz weapon in the Slav that I used to play back in the days. No, it's just a normal Slav and take on c4, a4, and I've sometimes joked about it. This is the mouse slip variation. We play bishop e6. Of course, the main line is bishop f5, but let's say you're playing online Blitz game, then bishop e6 looks like a mouse slip, and usually when I play this, my opponent plays knight g5 instantly, which is the move that we are hoping for. Objectively, e4 is the strongest move, the strongest reply for white. We would have to play it somehow like this with black, and white is better, of course. I'm not gonna claim that bishop e6 is a strong or good move, but it's an interesting option in Blitz games and shorter time controls. So what's the idea behind bishop e6? That's obviously to protect the pawn on c4, and it's very tempting for white to play knight g5 to punish this silly move, and I will show some games that I played with bishop e6 and some analysis I have made, old analysis. So let's get to it. In year 1999 I played against Valery Filipov, strong grandmaster from Russia, and he played knight g5, and this was a classical game. I was very brave when I was young. Okay, knight g5, I played bishop d5, e4, and h6. This was the idea I had prepared against this line, and I had played many Blitz games. So the following sequence is forced. He takes on d5, I take on g5. White takes on c6. I don't think it's any good for white to take on g5. You can just take on d5, and I can't see any problems for black here. So takes, knight takes. We are threatening the pawn on d4. But as you can see, white has the bishop here, but we have the open h file. We can often use that to our advantages. So d5 looks normal, and I had prepared this. Knight a5 is the move here. We have a very nice square for the knight later on b3. If you can travel to b3, it's good in some positions. White took on g5, and here I think the best line is to play queen d6, but in my game against Filipov I played queen b6, and I just want to show the game a little bit. He played queen to c2. He wanted to castle queenside quickly, and I played the best move here, rook d8. E6 might be possible, and you can check it out, but I think rook d8 is a very solid move here. We are threatening the d5 pawn. He played bishop e3, looks normal. Queen b4. And the threat is to take on d5, long castle. And here I played a strong move, g6. We want to get bishop to g7 on the long diagonal. Sometimes bishop h6 is even possible. He played king b1. I played bishop g7. I have here notes that this might have been possible also, but yeah, but the bishop looks very natural on g7. Some line here, bishop e2, rook h4. We want to prevent white from playing h4 himself, and maybe we want to bring the king to g7 with the king march, king f8, king g7, queen d2, king f8, and black seems to be alright here. According to engines, we have possibilities of jumping with a knight later on, and the d5 pawn is maybe a bit weak. But okay, I played bishop g7. I usually like my black squared bishop on g7. That's why I play Benko Gambit and some other stuff, dragons and so on. Now he made a mistake. He played knight b5. Bishop e2 was probably the best move. Yeah, and I believe white should be slightly better maybe here. He has the bishops, and we don't have any knight g4 move and so on, but the game will just continue. Bishop g7, he played knight b5, which was a bad move, an error. I played knight d4, excellent move. We open the bishop, and the c3 square is a bit weak. And here he played f3. He obviously was afraid of something was happening on c3. And here I had knight g3, which was a good move. And he has some problems here. Just gonna go quickly through it, the game. I played c3, took on f1. It was an interesting decision, because I had a very strong square for the knight on c4. Just gonna quickly look at the game. And here I played a6, which was inaccuracy. I should have taken on a4. And according to my analysis with Rybka, black seems to be winning here. But anyway, I managed to win this endgame against a strong opponent from Russia, who was above 2600 at the time. So I went home and slept very well this night. It's very pleasant to win a game with some original play, even though it might be a bit dubious to play bishop e6. And my next game was a Blitz game against no other than Magnus Carlsen. So this is the game against Magnus. This was played in the year 2006. He was playing here in Iceland in Reykjavík Open. There was a Blitz tournament afterwards, and I decided to try this against this talented guy from Norway, and let's see what happened. He played knight g5. It's like the game before, But here I played queen d6, which is a stronger move than queen b6. And I recall he thought for a while and he played g3. Other possibility is queen f3. Here I would recommend to play g6 and bishop h6. This is, like I mentioned before, often possibility. And here we have the rook on h-file, threatening maybe the pawn on h2 in some cases. h4 is a good move. Rook h5, pressure on the d5 pawn. Let's say white plays g4, we play rook e5, long castle a6. We have to cover the b5 square. We don't want the knight to jump there. It would be very annoying. So let's say h5 g5, and I think we have a decent counterplay. Our next move will be probably castle queen's side, I think. Yeah, and putting pressure on d5. White is also a bit weak on the queen side, the b3 square, and yeah, so this is exciting position. g3 is another option. And yeah, we have many possibilities here. Rook somewhere, or castle queen side looks probably normal. I'm not sure, but yeah. But bishop h6 is a clever idea to remember. And this is good in Blitz. Magnus played g3, which is a good move. And in the game I made a mistake. I played g6. You can look how the game went. And here I made another mistake. I played bishop h6. Queen e5 was a possibility according to my analysis, but this will be a crazy game. Bishop could come to f4 and so on. Bishop h6 is another possibility. But d6 is very complicated with unclear position, but there's no need to play like this with black. Yeah, let's just look at the game very quickly. Queen e2, Magnus puts pressure on my e7 pawn. And here I'm worse, of course, but I blundered on exchange, and Magnus converted this very easily, of course. We don't have to go through the whole game. But what I should have done is, after g3, is to play queen e5. That's a strong move. He has to play bishop e3, of course. And here I have e6 as my main line, putting pressure immediately on d5. Long castle is another possibility, bishop d2, e6. White has the bishops and some compensation for the pawn. This is some line I looked at. Queen h5. He cannot take on a5, then it's mate. Rook c1, putting pressure. But black seems to have a solid compensation, or counterplay, I mean, for the white has the bishop here, but we have some nice squares for the knight, c4 and b3, and The bishop is coming. So I think this is quite a pleasant game for black. Let's go back. Yeah, this was interesting. Also possible to castle queenside. But e6 is my main line here in my old analysis. This is of course just a fun analysis, just for Blitz. Takes on e6, bishop b4 is the idea. To develop pieces and get counterplay. Because white king is still on e1, takes on f7, we are pawn down, but we have some plans. Let's say bishop e2, rook a8, here we have compensation for the bishops, and this knight to d5 looks interesting. We have a passed pawn on c4, and this is a fight between the bishop versus the knights, and I don't know, it's complicated of course, but we also have the rook on h-file, tricky move like queen f5, threatening queen h3. We can shuffle the rook to e8, centralizing the rook. And of course white cannot take on a5, then we have knight takes e3 and the queen, he loses his queen. But it's a original position and very interesting. I see I have a main line here, queen d4, protecting the c3 knight. Queen e6 is a strong move. And the problem for white here is we are threatening knight b3, winning an exchange at least. Bishop b2, knight b3, queen f4, bishop d6, and according to my analysis, black is better here. So if you want to try this system out with black, then I would recommend queen d6 here and play it something like this, and e6. And of course long castle is also very interesting, but I hope you will have some good experience in this line, and yeah, have fun. Thank you.